Is buying a franchise less risky than starting an independent business? Are you more likely to succeed if you buy a franchise? These questions come up often. There's a lot of wrong information on the internet and a lot of confusion. And if you're buying a franchise, I'm going to explain why these are the wrong questions to be asking and the wrong way to evaluate your franchise investment. So, are franchise businesses more successful than independent businesses? We'll look at some data later on and we'll actually do some Google searches. What I will tell you is I think the information is not clear. And its chances are that you read some articles, you're looking at franchise investments, you may come across information where people claim or authors claim that there's statistics and data that shows franchise businesses are more successful than independent businesses, or they just make a blanket assumption that if you buy a franchise business, you're more likely to succeed. We'll go through those searches. But the more important point for you as a franchise buyer is that you need to know you shouldn't be looking at generalized industry statistics. The franchise industry as a whole is big. It covers many industries, many different franchisors, many different types of franchise opportunities. And for you, for your evaluation of whether or not you're purchasing a franchise and what franchise to invest in, you need to evaluate the microeconomic factors, the franchisor you're about to invest in, the industry that they operate in, the territory you're awarded, or the retail location you select, your capitalization, and the success and failure ratio of that particular franchisor, and maybe at a higher level, that particular industry. But let's address the information. You're doing research. You're going to come across statements that assume franchise businesses are just generally more successful. So let's do a Google search. Are franchise businesses more successful than independent businesses? And our first result is a Google snippet. And again, I offer no comment about the authors or the websites or what they're doing. And the first quote is, according to US Bureau of Labor Statistics, in its entrepreneurial report, quote, it's generally accepted because of their established proven business practices that franchises have higher success rates than independent businesses. Let's click on that link. And again, I offer no comment about the publisher, and we see where the snippet came from. And they're citing a US Bureau of Labor Statistics report. And generally, in reviewing this report, which I read before our video, I don't see support for the quote that's cited in the article. Now, it could be that the report itself changed, or there could be a misquote, but I don't see information or data in this article itself about franchises. In fact, if I'm doing this correctly and I search the word franchise, I don't find it in the article, right? Whereas if I search entrepreneurship, I'll find that right away. So the data here, at least in this article, doesn't support the claim, or at least I don't see that. Going back to our Google search, this article states that, going back to our Google search, if we look further into this article, they cite a 5-year study by the franchise consulting firm FranNet, reported that 92% of their franchise placements are still in business after 2 years and 85% after 5. Well, what I would say there is that data may be correct. FranNet is a broker group, a very reputable one, but we don't know if this is statistically significant to make generalized claims about the franchise industry itself. Also, when you're reading claims and studies about franchise success, don't confuse franchise success with a location staying open. Again, FranNet's a very reputable broker organization, a great resource, but the fact that a location is still open after 2 years or open after 5 years doesn't necessarily mean it's successful. It doesn't necessarily mean it's more successful than an independent business. Now, back to our Google search. Let's look down more. So, are franchise businesses more successful than independent? Let's drop down the Google knowledge bar here. And we have an article from Entrepreneur where it says franchise businesses have higher rates of success. Let's click on that article. A little caution, this is Entrepreneur Middle East. It says why opening a franchise business is better than starting your own. So they say here franchise businesses have higher rates of success. It is a proven concept that franchises have a higher rate of success in comparison to a startup business. Doesn't really offer any support for that statement, as a sizable amount of work has already been achieved by the franchisor. High brand awareness and recall has successfully been accomplished. What they're trying to say here is that you could be more successful because the franchise brand, in theory, has brand awareness, has systems, has methods of operation, has built out a business model. But I don't see any statistics supporting that. Let's look down more. Are franchise businesses better than independent? Well, we have an article by Guidance Financial that says an independent business is a good choice, but if time and effort seem daunting or time consuming, franchise may be the better choice. That sounds like a reasonable statement. And another article, why a franchise might have a higher success rate than independent businesses. Well, let's go to this Nerd Wallet article. So they're talking about advantages of franchising for the franchisee, saying business assistance, brand recognition, lower failure rate, and their statement. In general, franchises have a lower failure rate than solo businesses. They don't cite any authority, so I'm not sure what they're basing that statement on. When a franchisee buys into a franchise, they're joining a successful brand, as well as a network that will offer them support and advice, making it less likely that they go out of business. As well, franchisees have already proven their business concept, so you have reassurance that the products or services you're offering are in demand. Okay, so I would say that the headline in this paragraph, compared to the content of the paragraph, they're sort of not accurate, in my opinion. So, but the information's instructive. Number one, they're saying franchises have a lower failure rate than solo businesses. I don't know what they're using to support that claim, the data to back that up. There is none, there's none cited. Now, this next sentence, they're making an assumption. When a franchisee buys into a franchise, they're joining a successful brand. Well, that's not true for every franchise investment. That's true for some, but not all. And it's saying, so successful brand, as well as a network that'll offer them support and advice, making it less likely they'll go out of business. There's a lot of conclusions, there's a lot of assumptions there, but some important takeaways. Not every franchise investment is created equal. There's good franchisors, there's bad franchisors. There's franchisors that have amazing brand recognition, amazing systems, amazing products, services, supportive franchisee network, and there's others that don't. So the takeaway, I think, is you should ignore if someone makes a claim or a statement that you should buy a franchise just because in general franchises are more successful than independent businesses. Well, that information is not accurate. Also, when you read these articles and you're doing your research, don't assume every franchisor is the same. Sure, the advantages of franchising as a franchise buyer is if you choose the right franchisor and the right franchise system, it could be a tremendous wealth building opportunity. I've seen clients, I've seen friends invest in franchises, buy one location, then buy many more, and not only create wealth that replaces their income, but also generational wealth for their families. They're investing in a good franchise system, right? So they're looking at industry. Is it a growing industry? Is there opportunity in the industry, or is it saturated? Is it a good franchisor? Does the franchisor have good brand recognition, good support, good validation among its franchisee network? Is there opportunity to acquire a good location or a good territory? And more important for you as the franchise buyer, is it a good fit for you? Does it match your lifestyle goals? Do you have the right capitalization to ramp up the business and make it successful? More important than industry or these general statistics, capitalization is the biggest factor for franchise success and business success. Do you have enough capital to support your family and your livelihood while the building's ramping up? Do you have enough capital to keep the business sustainable and keep cash flow moving? Do you have enough capital to keep your marketing going until your business is self-sustaining, that flywheel is spinning, and you're profitable? So are franchise businesses more successful? I think you need to assume, or should assume, they're no more successful than an independent business. And what you need to be evaluating are the microeconomic factors, your personal factors, good business principles. Filter out all the noise. Filter out these fluffy articles that just make blanket assumptions that if you buy a franchise business, of course, you're more likely to succeed. And use this video to dive deeper into your franchise opportunities, doing your due diligence, doing your homework. There's well established franchise brands that present great opportunities. And there's startup and emerging franchise brands that maybe they don't have the same brand recognition, but maybe they provide a better opportunity. Maybe they're providing more advantageous terms, better locations, right? So you need to evaluate each franchise investment on an individual basis. If you want to learn more, join our Franex community. There's links and information below, and subscribe to our channel.